Snow White is the first American feature-length animated movie, 1937. It's one of the most beloved movies of all time.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway, and that's when I started to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse?
No, make it more lame. That is exactly what they're doing. And that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
One major development going on now involves more to do with Rachel Zegler and her attitude towards South Park Studios and Paramount after learning about what they are planning for their upcoming special called the DEI Special, and what they recently did toward both Zegler and the Disney company for their Snow White film. It turns out that both Trey Parker and Matt Stone are already preparing for the DEI special.
Snow White is the first American feature-length animated movie, 1937. It's one of the most beloved movies of all time.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you. No, the people who you need to entertain, the people who you need to serve, the people who pay your salary.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry playing roles like that. So it was definitely when it got announced.
Snow White!
He wasn't a stalker, by the way.
Thing that was like.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White.
That laugh.
That is
not going to be saved by
You
the
wrote
prince.
it?
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Could you imagine suing cartoon characters for a staggering $100 million? That's the explosive scenario that reportedly unfolded when rising star Rachel Zegler allegedly took on the titans of satire, Trey Parker, and Matt Stone. This wasn't just another celebrity spat, it was a clash tailor-made for our times, pitting a young actress, still navigating the fallout from Disney's controversial Snow White remake, against the creators of South Park, a show infamous for skewering absolutely everything for nearly 3 decades. The battle lines were drawn over a single animated episode, morphing a cutting parody into a high-stakes legal drama that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. It all started when South Park aired an installment zeroing in on the whirlwind of controversy surrounding Zegler's updated take on Snow White. True to Parker and Stone's style, the episode amplified every headline and online debate into a surreal cartoon spectacle. The animated Zegler, smartphone in hand, spouted hot-button takes on history, studios, and social progress, culminating in a musical number that seemed to perfectly capture public fatigue with big-budget remakes. While many fans roared with laughter at the audacity, the real-life actress was reportedly watching, the humor cutting deeper than intended. What began as online murmurs quickly escalated. Then came the bombshell headline, reportedly splashed across TMZ, Rachel Zegler considering a 9-figure lawsuit against South Park. Initially dismissed by some industry insiders as bluster, Zegler's legal team allegedly moved fast. The claim? That Parker and Stone hadn't just parodied her, they had crossed into character assassination, deliberately painting her as an entitled diva responsible for Snow White's perceived troubles. The lawsuit reportedly argued that scenes, like one implying she'd personally siphoned production funds, weren't fair comment but malicious lies designed to derail her career, citing lost opportunities as proof of real financial harm. News of the alleged suit hit Parker and Stone's Culver City headquarters like a sudden storm. Phones buzzed in unison as staff saw the headlines. According to accounts, the creators exchanged a look, part annoyance, part dark amusement. They'd faced backlash before, from protests to cease and desist letters, but never an individual lawsuit demanding such an astronomical sum. While nervous laughter reportedly broke out in the writer's room, a real concern settled in. The media landscape had shifted dramatically since South Park's debut. A defamation ruling could jeopardize not only future episodes, but also their colossal deal with Paramount Plus, rumored to be worth nearly $1 billion. Their trademark irreverence suddenly faced a very real, very expensive legal test. As expected, the public reaction fractured instantly. Social media became a battleground. Many rallied behind Zegler, seeing her as a victim of relentless online attacks now unfairly targeted by a powerful show. They praised her reported courage for standing up. Others fiercely defended Parker and Stone, arguing they were crucial guardians of unapologetic humor, launching hashtags like #Nunc satire is not slander. Late-night hosts cracked jokes, legal analysts debated First Amendment rights on cable news, and the story snowballed into a full-blown media frenzy. The question wasn't just about one actress or one cartoon, it was about where satire's boundaries lie in the 21st century. Amidst the chaos, another giant allegedly watched from the wings: Disney. Whispers suggested the studio worried that the lawsuit, particularly the discovery phase where lawyers demand evidence, could unearth internal documents about Snow White's troubled production. Secrets Disney preferred kept buried. Though not named in the suit, their brand loomed large. Meanwhile, Zegler's team reportedly launched a campaign to frame the fight not as an attack on free speech, but as a young woman protecting her livelihood from reckless misrepresentation after months of ridicule. Parker and Stone, after initial silence, released a terse statement affirming their belief in parody and their intent to vigorously defend that right, signaling they wouldn't back down easily. The courtroom, as described in reports of the proceedings, became the main stage. The atmosphere was tense, packed with reporters anticipating drama. Parker and Stone arrived with subtle hints of their usual irreverence, while Zegler projected seriousness. Arguments hinged on that delicate line. Was the South Park portrayal so over the top that no reasonable viewer could mistake it for fact, or did it genuinely mislead people and damage Zegler's reputation? Her lawyers pointed to specific scenes as proof of malicious falsehoods. The defense countered, invoking decades of satire precedent, arguing absurdity itself was the point, and that chilling comedic exaggeration would stifle vital commentary. Key testimonies reportedly included Parker and Stone explaining their process, and Zegler speaking emotionally about the personal and professional toll the episode took. After days of deliberation that had Hollywood holding its breath, the verdict allegedly came back. Parker and Stone were not liable. The jury, according to reports, felt that while Zegler's distress was understandable, the episode's inherently surreal and exaggerated tone made it unreasonable to interpret as a factual statement about her. A collective sigh of relief likely went through Comedy Central, while commentary immediately exploded across media platforms. Zegler, though visibly disappointed, reportedly thanked her supporters and vowed to keep advocating for respect, hoping her stand would make creators think twice. Parker and Stone offered a simple, "We're going back to work," avoiding any triumphal display. In the aftermath, the dust began to settle, but the ripples continued. Zegler reportedly focused on an independent film, earning praise for her performance and subtly proving her career wasn't defined by the controversy. South Park eventually aired its next season, perhaps with a slightly more reflective tone, even opening one episode with a cheeky dedication that seemed to nod at the ordeal. The alleged lawsuit became a case study, a stark reminder of the power dynamics in entertainment, the fragility of reputation in the digital age, and the enduring debate over where humor ends and harm begins. It stands as a fascinating chapter on the precarious balance between biting satire and the real lives it inevitably touches. What do you think? Where should the line be drawn? The fuse was lit by a typical South Park installment, this one laser-focused on the relentless swirl of debates surrounding Zegler's updated portrayal of Snow White and her candid, sometimes controversial, public comments. Parker and Stone did what they do best. They took every headline, every tweet, every critical interview soundbite, and dialed it up to 11, transforming the complex discourse into a surreal, animated fever dream. Their cartoon version of Zegler reportedly strutted through a warped fairy tale kingdom, smartphone wielded like a royal scepter, firing off hot-button opinions about historical context, studio politics, and progressive ideals. The caricature culminated in a musical number gleefully mocking perceived public weariness over endless, often politically charged remakes. Fans erupted in laughter at the sheer audacity, recognizing the show's signature blend of absurdity and pointed commentary. But somewhere, the real Rachel Zegler was allegedly watching, and the animated jabs apparently struck far too close to home, the laughter fading as the personal sting intensified. Whispers started, but what came next was louder than anyone anticipated. Suddenly, the rumor solidified into a shocking headline, reportedly blasted across TMZ. Rachel Zegler was weighing a 9-figure defamation lawsuit against South Park. $100 million. The figure alone was enough to make jaws drop. Initially, some industry veterans might have dismissed it as posturing, a negotiating tactic perhaps. But according to the reports detailed in the transcript, Zegler's legal team moved with surprising speed. The core of the alleged complaint wasn't just that the parody was mean, it was that it crossed a critical line into deliberate character assassination. The suit reportedly argued that Parker and Stone maliciously portrayed her as an entitled, out-of-touch diva, singularly responsible for the Snow White project's perceived woes and negative press. Specific examples were allegedly cited, like animation sequences implying she had personally misused production funds, joking about casual $40 million snack budgets, which the filing contended were not fair comment or comedic exaggeration, but damaging falsehoods designed to poison her reputation and cripple her burgeoning career. They claimed prospective casting offers vanished after the episode aired, citing the cartoon portrayal as direct proof of tangible financial harm. When news of the alleged lawsuit broke, it reportedly hit Parker and Stone's Culver City creative hub like an unexpected grenade. Staffers described phones lighting up simultaneously with alerts from Variety and Deadline. The co-creators, masters of orchestrating chaos on screen, now found themselves at the center of a real-world storm. Accounts suggest an initial reaction mixing their trademark annoyance with a dark, almost inevitable amusement. They'd navigated legal threats before, from religious groups, corporations, even protests outside their offices. But an individual actor seeking such an astronomical sum? That was new territory. Nervous laughter reportedly echoed through the writer's room, someone quipping about finally being worth $100 million each. Behind the jokes, however, a serious concern took root. The media environment of today is vastly different from 1997. Every gag instantly ricochets across platforms, reaching polarized audiences. A court deeming their Snow White send-up defamatory could have catastrophic consequences, potentially rattling not just future creative choices, but also their massive, near-billion-dollar streaming deal with Paramount+. The show's legendary bravado was suddenly facing a genuine, high-stakes legal stress test. Initially, they opted for public radio silence, an unusual move for men famous for poking the bear, likely on cautious legal advice. But behind closed doors, the comedic gears were allegedly turning, drafting retaliatory sketches they couldn't yet unleash. Predictably, the public reaction split down fiercely partisan lines almost immediately. Social media ignited. Supporters championed Zegler, casting her as a young woman unfairly targeted by relentless online trolling, now amplified and legitimized by a powerful animated show. They praised her reported courage in fighting back against what they saw as unchecked harassment disguised as comedy. Conversely, legions of South Park defenders mobilized, rallying behind hashtags like #Nunk's satire is not slander. They argued Parker and Stone were vital defenders of fearless, unapologetic humor in an increasingly sensitive world, pointing out countless other powerful figures who had endured the show's ruthless spotlight. Late-night hosts mined the princess versus paper cutouts narrative for jokes, while legal analysts flooded news panels debating the nuances of parody law, the First Amendment, and whether a cartoon could reasonably be interpreted as factual assertion by any audience member. The story transcended entertainment news, becoming a flashpoint in the larger culture war over free speech, cancel culture, and the perceived responsibilities of satire. As the legal gears began to turn, another powerful entity allegedly watched intently from the sidelines: Disney. Whispers circulated that the Mouse House was quietly monitoring the proceedings, deeply concerned that the lawsuit's discovery phase, where lawyers can demand internal documents and communications, could expose sensitive details about Snow White's reportedly troubled production, budget issues, or internal executive decisions that Disney desperately wanted to keep under wraps. Though not formally involved, Disney's immense brand and vested interest loomed over every potential deposition request, especially any seeking emails or memos referencing the South Park parody itself. Insiders speculated Disney's legal team was ready to file motions to quash subpoenas, determined to keep the satirists from rummaging through their corporate laundry. Meanwhile, Zegler's camp reportedly pursued a subtle media strategy, appearing on less edgy talk shows to reframe the narrative. Instead of focusing on free speech, she reportedly spoke earnestly about the personal, emotional toll of the episode, emphasizing the human impact of caricature and the potential for reckless misrepresentations to derail livelihoods, aiming to nudge public opinion towards sympathy. Adding another layer, free speech advocates like the ACLU allegedly filed briefs supporting South Park, stressing satire's crucial watchdog function against carefully curated celebrity images. The courtroom itself, when the first hearings allegedly took place, became an unexpected spectacle. Reporters packed the gallery, hungry for sound bites. Parker and Stone arrived, maintaining a degree of their characteristic irreverence. Matt Stone reportedly sporting a tie with tiny cartoon figures. Trey Parker wearing custom cufflinks shaped like TVs. Zegler entered separately, flanked by attorneys, projecting seriousness in tailored attire. Cameras captured fleeting glances between the opposing sides, impossible to read. During arguments, Zegler's counsel reportedly hammered on the idea that specific scenes presented false statements as fact, citing the depiction of studio accountants dumping cash at her feet while she proclaimed, "Modernization isn't cheap, peasants." They argued such imagery invited viewers to believe she personally made extravagant demands. The defense countered forcefully, invoking decades of First Amendment protection for satire, arguing that only a profoundly confused viewer would take literal truth from a cartoon known for talking towels and alien probes. They insisted absurdity was a tool to highlight controversy, and punishing exaggeration would cripple creative commentary across all media. The judge reportedly declined to dismiss the suit outright, ruling that a jury must ultimately decide if the average viewer could separate parody from reality in this specific charged instance, setting the stage for a potentially precedent-setting trial. The tension during the reported jury deliberations was palpable. Observers sensed the jurors wrestling with conflicting impulses: empathy for a young individual subjected to public ridicule versus the legal necessity of protecting robust, even offensive parody. After several tense days, the verdict allegedly arrived. Parker and Stone were found not liable. The jury foreperson reportedly explained that while they understood Zegler's distress, the episode's overwhelmingly surreal and exaggerated tone made it unreasonable for viewers to interpret it as a factual statement about her actions or character. A collective exhale likely swept through Comedy Central's executive offices. The news instantly reignited commentary across the media landscape. Outside the courthouse, Zegler, though visibly disappointed, reportedly thanked her supporters and vowed to continue advocating for more respectful dialogue in the industry, expressing hope that her stand would encourage future creators and studios to carefully weigh the human impact of their satire. Parker and Stone, flanked by their lawyers, offered only a brief, almost dismissive quip. "We're going back to work," dodging further questions, perhaps sensing that any gloating would undermine the nuanced debate that had unfolded. In the weeks and months that followed, both sides began to move forward, forever marked by the confrontation. Zegler reportedly channeled her energy into a new independent film project, earning positive reviews that praised her performance, suggesting audiences hadn't abandoned her and her craft could transcend the controversy. South Park eventually aired its next season, opening with a tongue-in-cheek dedication to anyone who's ever wanted to sue us, a clear nod to the recent battle. Viewership reportedly spiked, but some critics noted a subtly more reflective undercurrent in the show's humor, as if the ordeal had left a mark, a quiet acknowledgement that even the sharpest satire can bruise real people. Industry analysts and legal scholars dissected the case for months, citing it in seminars on entertainment law and media ethics. It became a landmark example, illustrating the fragile line between comedic license and reputational harm in the hyper-connected digital age. For Zegler, the lawsuit, though reportedly unsuccessful in court, may have solidified her boundaries and earned her respect among peers for her willingness to challenge powerful figures. For Parker and Stone, the courtroom battle reinforced their cultural dominance, but also served as a stark reminder that even audacious satire carries responsibilities in an era where jokes instantly echo far beyond the screen. Ultimately, this reported clash between the princess and the paper cutouts left an indelible mark. It wasn't just a legal dispute, it was a cultural moment forcing a difficult conversation about the power and limits of comedy, the cost of public conflict, and the often blurry boundary between humor and harm. Both sides arguably left some skin in the game, emerging changed by the experience. The case serves as a vivid reminder that creativity and critique exist in a dynamic, often uncomfortable dance, constantly shaping each other's boundaries with every controversy, every headline, and every laugh or wince that rings out across our screens. It makes you wonder, in a world saturated with takes and parodies, who gets the last laugh and at what cost? So the dust settled on the alleged $100 million courtroom clash between Rachel Zegler and South Park, with the verdict reportedly falling in favor of Trey Parker and Matt Stone's right to parody. But to call it a simple win or loss feels incomplete. This confrontation became more than just a lawsuit. It was a stark snapshot of modern celebrity, online outrage, and the immense power wielded by both rising stars and established satirists. Zegler reportedly put her reputation on the line, challenging the limits of comedic attack, while Parker and Stone defended the very foundation of their irreverent empire. Though the legal system sided with satire this time, the echoes of the battle linger. It forced a raw conversation about where the boundary lies, or should lie, between ruthless commentary and real-world consequences, especially when dealing with individuals navigating the intense glare of the public eye. In an age saturated with hot takes and digital pile-ons, the saga leaves us with a potent question. How far is too far when turning real people into punchlines? And who truly bears the cost when the laughter fades?